first in a series we're called Maine in America Now. It's focusing on works by artists that are living and working in the state of Maine. And this show represents a group of work that we've recently acquired for the museum's permanent collection, so we're calling it recent acquisitions. We try to think of the museum collection as sort of a living organism. It's not a static collection, but we actually add work to it each year that expands our ability to tell the story of Maine's role in American art. So as curator, I'm always looking for artists that I think are adding a particularly strong voice to this ongoing dialogue. And that's what's in this exhibition. It's pieces that we've either purchased or were given to the museum collection to add to this larger history. They include works by people like Neil Welliver, perhaps one of the best-known landscape artists who is working in Maine. His work is in the collection, and in this show is represented by two fairly small-sized pieces, but they are representative of his working technique. He usually starts with doing a painting on plein air or on site. He does it rapidly, right out on location, and then works a sketch up from that, from which he does his larger scale landscape painting. So in this show we have two smaller works by him, but they really help us show his working technique getting towards his larger paintings. Another important acquisition for us is the large abstract painting by Kenneth Nolan called Mysteries Primal Blue. Kenneth Nolan was a very important figure in the development of color field painting in American art, and he recently established a studio and home in Port Clyde, Maine. And what's important to us is that there's now a really important contemporary abstract painter who's working in the state, because the history of painting in Maine has largely been dominated by representational paintings, primarily of the coastline and of the scenic interior of the state. So to have a major abstract painter working in the state is a nice sort of balance in contemporary art in Maine. Another work that's maybe of particular interest is the work by Yvonne Jacquet. It's a pastel of the Twin Towers, and we purchased it actually on the day on September 11th. She is mostly known for her work that involves aerial views. In fact, there's a book on her called Aerial Muse, and she's made this point of reference in her work, this bird's eye view, really sort of the touchstone of her art. And so she was invited to be an artist in residence in the Twin Towers, and perhaps more than any other artist did more work from their vantage point in New York than just about any other painter. Perhaps our most important recent acquisition is the big painting by Alex Katz of Rudy Burkhart. It's called Rudy from 1980, and it was done at Lincolnville Beach. You can see a bit of Islesboro, the island behind Rudy. Rudy Burkhart, of course, is a well-known photographer, filmmaker, and poet in his own right. And Alex Katz, of course, is probably one of the greatest figure paintings in contemporary American art. And Alex has been associated with the state of Maine for more than 50 years now. He started coming up to Maine in the late 1940s when he went to the Skowhegan School of Painting and Sculpture, and ever since then has maintained a working relationship to Maine. He has a summer home and studio in Lincolnville, nearby where this painting was painted. And it was a big hole in our collection, really, not to have a major Katz painting, because he was such a pivotal figure in both American art and in painting here in Maine. And so we were really glad to be able to acquire this piece this last summer. It really adds to our ability to tell this ongoing story of Maine in American art.